Hello and welcome to another informative edition of the Generation Y. You're with me, Scott Sundiata Keita, and it's all about mentorship. It's all about inspiring young people to be better, all-rounded in life. And I'm now joined by Mr. Douglas Waudo, who is the brainchild behind the Douglas Waudo mentorship program. Douglas, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Scott.
It's such an honor to have you on the Generation Y.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now let's just talk about your journey. In fact, even before starting the Douglas Waudo Foundation, what really inspired you to go into mentorship, to go out there and inspire young people to grow?
My story is really long, so I'll try to make it very brief.
Yeah, of course.
I have made a few, not really a few, but many mistakes in life growing up as a youth, and made very bad decisions and been involved in a very crazy lifestyle. And it's that passion that is actually motivated me to start the Douglas Waudo mentorship program. My intention is to help the young people be able to realize that there is more to life than just having fun. And the stage they are in right now is very critical, because if you don't manage it well, the repercussions will be revealed in your years coming. And that is what most people are going through right now. So the stage they are in is very critical, and they need to be mentored to make good decisions in life, and to realize that there's more to life.
To life, yeah. What were some of those mistakes that you made that really it triggered that intention to just start a mentorship program for young people?
Most of my mistakes, first was the friends I used to hang out with. So it was a free ride, basically, and so we made a lot of mistakes on that. The other point is on financial decisions, that I used to have money, but the idea of saving and investment was never part of the conversation. And so if I had done savings and learned more about money, I would be a very different person right now. And some of the things were, just when it comes to personal development, you don't realize that you need also to invest yourself. I grew up in a society, and most of us are, where we know once you get the degree, you think your life is set. You'll go and get a big job, and better pay and buy a big car, get a nice chick. Yeah, but life is not
totally
that
different.
So that's some of the things that inspired me to start the mentorship program.
And now the Douglas Waudo Foundation, when did it start and what is it all about?
It's actually a mentorship program. You're calling it foundation.
The mentorship program.
Yes.
Beg your pardon.
The Douglas Waudo mentorship program started early this year. But before that, I've been doing a lot of mentoring for the last 4 years. So I have this passion of helping young people. So I used to mentor young people just in a very unstructured way. So someone will come for advice, other guys will look for me online, and friends of friends will refer, their other friends to me. So I used to do a lot of career counseling, a lot of relationship counseling, and a lot of money matters. Wow. And so from late last year, I thought, because it was very unstructured, and I used to be called in universities to give talks to colleges, I used to go to churches, but I just thought, why don't I have a very structured way of doing this that will also take advantage of addressing all the issues affecting especially the young people in a very holistic way. And that's how I started the Douglas Waudo mentorship program. We began early in the year, but we had our first class in August this year. Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
So I don't know if you need me to run through the modules very fast.
Yeah, of course, please.
Yes.
So that people just understand
okay.
What the importance of the mentorship.
Okay. So the Douglas Waudo mentorship program, our aim is to equip individuals, and by individuals I mean they can be young people, they can be older
so it's
people.
Not age limited.
It's not really age limited, but majority of the people I'm working with are young people. So the aim is to equip young people to be able to discover their purpose in life. And then once they discover their purpose in life, they are able to maximize their God-given potential to become agents of change. So there are two big words I've thrown around.
I know, yeah.
The first word is purpose. So, once you discover your purpose, it becomes clear where you're going.
Exactly.
Because purpose gives you identity, it gives you clarity. And then once you discover who you are and you know where you're going, there's something hidden in the youth and everyone. It's called potential. And most of us, all of us have potential. And I call it deliberately, it's a God-given potential. So we want to maximize for You know, there's someone who said 90% of the people on earth die after only utilizing 10% of their potential.
Wow.
So, and the 10% is just what people utilize. The 10% is what? For going, you know, what? For going about survival, you know, paycheck to paycheck, work, study. But if you push yourself and do more than that, that's how you become great.
Wow.
So that's the idea behind the objective.
So the people who are great usually use more than just that.
It's more than just their 10%. You have to maximize 100% because you have that potential in you. So the Douglas Waudo mentorship program has 8 modules. It's a 8-week course. So we usually have our classes every Saturday from 9 to 11:30 for 2.5 hours. The first module is, it's called Introduction to Mentorship Program. So that's where we meet the participant and for them to understand what mentorship is about, what the program is about, and then to hear about their expectations, their challenges in life, just to prepare them for the program. And then the second module is on spiritual development. Spiritual development basically is to help you, but from a very biblical perspective to understand your purpose on earth.
Very important.
So it involves things like personal identity, personal branding, and we have a 5-step concept.
Wow.
Very practical, that once you go through that, you're able to understand your purpose on earth. It's very clear. By the end of the second module, everyone is usually very clear what they are, why they are here on earth. And then the third module is on personal development. Personal development basically is to equip them to be able to acquire life skills. So there's a difference here, because in school it's more of academic
knowledge
and theoretical and that kind of thing, knowledge. But now why most people miss out is something called life skills. And you know, when you go for interviews, the employer doesn't just look on your papers and you got a distinction, a first class. They don't look at that. Of course it's important, but they also look at what more do you bring.
Wow.
Especially now, we live in a very competitive world where you have to have a competitive advantage to be called for an interview or to be given a job.
I know, like right now, a degree only manages to get you a line in the queue.
Yes.
I know, it's so tough.
So some of the things we tell the young people, especially the ones who in campus, even in high school, is when you have that semester break for 2 months, what are you doing with your time?
Exactly.
Are you doing volunteering activities? Are you doing things that are developing you and giving you a competitive advantage? Or do you just sit in the house watching Scandals season 3 the whole time and gossiping on social media?
Game of Thrones.
Yes. And and then after personal development, the fourth course is on professional development. Professional development is geared towards preparing individuals for the job market. So we talk about things like CV writing. We talk about how to look for jobs, how to apply for jobs. We talk about how to write your CV. And it's very practical, because it's very amazing when you look at some of these CVs going around here, and people are always complaining there are no jobs. First of all, one of the things, when I hear someone saying there's no job, I'm usually very curious, because the first thing I want to see is their CV. Because
how they wrote it,
how it's wrote, how is the format of your CV, what is there in your CV? Because your CV is the first impression an employer, any prospective employer, gets about you. So you have to really get it right. And your CV has to be packaged to reflect exactly who you are. So most of the CVs you see around are they are really educational based. It's about the subjects you did and the courses you did, which is good, but there's more to that. There's more to a CV than that. So we try to help them to structure their CV to reflect their life skills, their personalities.
So it's also important to identify some of the co-curricular activities.
Exactly. And then the fifth module is what we call networking development. So you can see all these modules are very interlinked. So networking especially is very interlinked with professional development. So networking is, you have come from campus or even in campus, how do you use networking to identify the right people and opportunities to build you in a personal and professional area of your life. So, and then the other aspect of networking, we also talk about social media, how to use social media on networking. And one of the main thing we tell the course try to tell the young people is you have to be very careful, because your social media profile has a very big impact on your professional life. Because nowadays what employers do, when I want to employ you, when you write a CV and I look, it's good. Before I even call you for an interview, I will go online and search for you.
And see the kind of character you
Exactly.
present online.
So I look at
Wow.
your photos, I look at your post, your comments.
So for all those people who
Yeah.
post weird photos.
Yeah, if you are those guys who
Better
are,
watch
you know,
out.
I like calling it the turn down for what lifestyle, you know. It's Friday,
Don't
thank
stand up
God
for
it's
what?
Friday. Yeah.
Amazing
Yeah.
stuff. We're going to take a short break. You're watching the Generation Y. Welcome back to the Generation Y. You're with me, Scott Sunjata Keita, and I'm now joined by Douglas Waudo, who is the brainchild of the Douglas Waudo mentorship program. Yes, I said it right. Mentorship program. Now, we were just talking about networking and how young people out there can use social media to network themselves and also to present themselves in the appropriate way to the employees.
Yeah.
Just if you would may, what other modules and the importance, of course, of networking, if you may.
Yeah, maybe I just summarize on networking,
Yeah.
because especially in relation to social media, because that's where there's usually one of the biggest problems. The youth need to understand that what you post online will have an impact on your career, either directly or indirectly. The employers, most of them nowadays are interested to know what their employees, prospective employees, post online. And I usually get, comments such as, but I don't use my real name, so they will never find me. But I have good news for you, bad news for whoever is watching. An employer will get you.
Wow.
Because an employer doesn't have to look for you online by your name. There are softwares that can even, as long as they have your photo, they associate your photo with the software and it's able to pick your profile online. Wow. It pops out all the videos you've put on or you've been involved in, photos, comments, and all that. So, and one of the things about networking with the course is we try also to help this guy know how to use networking for their advantage.
Especially social media.
Yes. And when you're in campus or in school, you have a very good opportunity to meet a lot of people.
Yes, yeah.
And so you have your lecturers, who are just a gold mine. They know a lot of people, they have a lot of contact. You have your relatives. You have your colleagues in school and all that. And then the other fifth, we are on seventh So that networking is fifth module. Sixth module is on financial development, one of my favorites.
Wow, amazing.
So financial development is, we talk about personal financial management and wealth creation. So we just try to help the young people to understand that when you get some pocket money, don't blow it away. Don't blow everything. You can have your fun, it's fine. But just be conscious that you'll be saving a little bit, And you can start with putting in the shares. You can being involved in an investment group, a chama, something like that. And then we teach them about something which is very fundamental. You have to know where your money is going as a young person. When you go out to have fun with your friends, you have to come back the following day and account for each and every shilling.
Wow.
Once you develop that habit, wealth management becomes easy. You're looking at a guy who graduated and immediately I went into NGO world and I was being paid a lot of money. And no one ever taught me how to manage money.
Wow.
So once I used to pay my rent, that was it. That was my only bill. And then once in a while when mother is making a lot of noise, I skumia like 5K in shags. And then she keeps quiet for 2 months. And then, I'm just all about turning down for what? Yeah.
Wow.
But
so you live that kind of a life and you have that kind of experience yourself.
And I'm telling you, I kind of wasted all 5 years of my life with my money without doing anything. And some of my friends who are wiser were buying houses at that time.
So right now they're obviously making a lot of profit.
Right now they're fine. Wow. And for me now I'm catching up.
Wow.
And that is one of the reasons actually I started the mentorship program to just help, especially when it comes to money. Most people are struggling, even in the adulthood, how to manage money, and it's a big problem. Then the seventh module is on physical development. Basically the idea behind this is that your health is your greatest asset. And your lifestyle right now, whether you know it or not, will have an impact with your health in the future. I'm seeing a lot of my elders, my father included, struggling with their health because of the way they used to live in their 20s and 30s. Wow. And I will tell you one thing, what you're doing now, the alcohol you're drinking now, the cigarette you're smoking now, will catch up with you eventually, because it's going to your body.
It's true.
And the other thing we also help people to understand is you have to understand your body. One of the questions which we asked in the program is, do you know what happens to your body? Do you have any idea what happens to your body when you drink?
Yeah.
And maybe just to run through this, this is very exciting. The first thing, your body was never made to consume alcohol. Let's start from there. And then, so what usually happens when you drink, once the alcohol hits your system, your liver goes to work. So your liver immediately goes to work to try, because it has realized there's a substance in your body that is not supposed to be there. So what your liver does, it immediately goes to work to try to get that alcohol out of your system. So the more, and that's why, and this is the reason why when people are drinking, they pee a lot.
It's true.
Yes, because your liver is getting
it's working.
And the more, so what happens is the more you keep on drinking, the more your liver is being overworked. And then when your liver is, remember also your liver is using water to process alcohol, to break down the alcohol content in your body. So the more it's using the water, it's pulling water from areas in your body
that are not supposed
to be, you know, one of the areas is your brain. So because your brain uses water to function. So the more you're drinking, two things happen with your body. Your liver and your brain, they are competing for water. And that's why you have a hangover the following day.
Because your brain is overworked.
Yeah, and then you've hydrated the body, the water from your body. And then the more you keep on drinking, your liver becomes overwhelmed. And then it conspires with your brain. And then it tells the brain, we need to shut this guy down because he's gonna kill us. And that's how someone choose blackout. Wow. That's the reason you choose blackout. Because now the brain and the liver say, no, this is too much. This guy has to choose blackout. And then you have hangover the following day. And then so the more you keep on doing this, can you imagine what happens to your liver in the long run?
I know, it's crazy, and especially looking at how the recent stories that we've had from Kiambu and how young people are just consuming alcohol like it's food. I know. I don't know what happens to them.
Yes.
How can they deal with that kind of an addiction?
It's just to understand, first of all, it's a bigger issue, because I'm sure like it's a bigger societal issue. There are issues with unemployment, frustration, depression, you know, and it also comes to some of the underlying issues. You're talking about knowing yourself, identify your purpose, being clear.
Once you have everything clear,
it's a bigger thing. But the cause, it's just about making people understand. It's good to, you know, the Bible talks of lack of knowledge, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Exactly. And it's just good for you to have that understanding. So
if people know and understand what happens to their body, they will be able to make rational decisions.
Exactly. The same thing happens to cigarette. One of the things I usually tell women, especially who smoke, whether you like it or not, your boobs will sag after some time. I don't know if it's right to say that
it's okay to say it if it's
but most
true.
of them don't know, because the nicotine in the cigarette affects the elasticity. There's that bigger word, that holds the tightness of your breast. So those are some of the implications.
So you're losing your beauty as a woman.
Exactly.
Again, if you continue with that kind
and then the bigger thing the program also talks about is lifestyle diseases. We've heard of, especially now, young guys are getting cancer all over the place, and it's mostly just because of the lifestyle, the food we eat. We don't practice, people don't exercise. Now let me move on. Now the last module is on leadership development. So in leadership development is just to train these young people to be able to be agents of change. So you have to know that you're a leader, and you don't have to be a national leader, a political leader. It starts from your surrounding.
Your immediate environment.
Yes, it starts with who you are. Once you take that response, and you know, being a leader, it doesn't necessarily mean you are a leader over people. First of all, you have to be a leader over you, and then be a leader over your situation, your circumstances. Yeah, because you've come to over, and you know, leadership is not about prestige, it's not about power, it's not about wealth. Leadership is just about having a positive influence to the world. Amazing. Starting with your community. Yes.
Amazing stuff. We could talk for almost another 1 hour. You're watching The Generation Y. We'll be right back after this very short break. Welcome back to The Generation Y. You're with me, Scott Sunjata Keita, and I'm now joined by Mr. Douglas Waudo, who is the brainchild behind the Douglas Waudo mentorship program. And it's a lot of good things happening, of course, in terms of mentoring young people to better themselves. And Mr. Douglas, before we had gone on break, you had just mentioned the packages that are are packaged into the mentorship program. But now let's just talk about some of the achievements that you have able to achieve under the mentorship program since it started.
Yeah, it's very hard to quantify these, but I'll try my best. I will describe this. The achievement mostly from what has happened to the lives of the participants who've gone through the course. I had mentioned we started officially the structured program of the mentorship in August, and then the participants, there were 16 of them, they graduated in October. And by the time they were graduating, we started getting stories from them. And probably I may just give an example of a young man. His name is Hesbon Anyangu, who had been he's been tamaking for the last 4 years, looking for a job and doing very menial jobs. So when he came to the program, he realized one of the problem was he was limiting himself. So we go back to the word potential, and he has this passion of starting a cleaning company. He's very passionate about cleaning and places that are clean. So after going through the program and working on his CV and doing all those things and learning about networking, by the time we were graduating, he had already registered his company.
Wow.
And by the time we were graduating, he had actually employed 5 people to work for him.
What? That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
So these are some of the changes, the immediate changes. Of
That
course,
are
some of them will
happening.
be it will be long term. But for me, change starts with your mindset. So when you hear someone saying, I'm not going to associate with this group of my friends any longer, I'm going to do this and this about my life, for me that's one of the biggest changes, because it's a mindset thing first. You change your mindset, then you change your behavior, then you eventually change your lifestyle. So there's a lot that has been happening, there's a lot that is still happening with the program. One of the biggest achievement I felt the program has really done was each individual was able, and these are young guys in their early 20s, there are those in their late, there was a 19-year-old and 18-year-old. These are people, someone has already known what they want to do in the next 3-5 years. Because that is some of the assignments we give them also. You have go through the program and you have to figure out what you want to achieve. So you'll hear things like, I want to do my degree. And then you don't just say, I want to do my degree or my master. You have to have a timeline and a plan of how you want to do it. Yeah, so we teach them about timelines and target. You don't just live through life and go through life,
go with the flow.
Yeah, I usually call it just existing. You're just there. Yeah, you have no idea what you want to do tomorrow. And one of the things also that I teach them, it's about time management. I'm very passionate about the issue of time, because most of us waste a lot of our time doing things that are not important. And one of the things I usually say, anything that does not affect your destiny and purpose in life should never be a priority or should never worry you. So you have to be very, because great people, if you look at great people and successful people, even in this country, just study their time. The way they don't go to Kenya cinema and wait for someone for 3 hours. What are you doing there on your phone, just waiting for someone for 3 hours and drinking a soda?
Wow.
Isn't your time more valuable than just sitting there?
Yeah.
And then you spend the whole weekend watching movies. It's not bad to watch movie, don't get me wrong. But is there something more productive that you can do than movies? Because the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is how they use their time. Because all of us, whether you are rich or poor, young, we still have the 24 hours. So one of the things is, now when someone graduates from the course and they tell you, now I'm going to use my time more wisely, you feel very good. Yeah. Because most of the youth in this country will become very great. But we waste a lot of our time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now let's talk about some of the challenges that have stood in the way of you doing your job, just mentoring young people. Are there any constraints that you've encountered?
I have 3 challenges. The first challenge is, financing the program. Because when I started, I was doing it from my own pocket. And of course it's not sustainable, because I won't say the amount, but I spend a considerable amount of time, producing the materials for the course, and also we usually have snacks and tea breaks during the course,
organizing the
and
whole
breakfast. The beauty is at the moment my boss has allowed us to use the office boardroom for my office, but the only problem with that, it's small. It can only hold up to no more than 20 people. Wow. And that's why also I restrict the number of the intake. You don't want to come and crowd a lot of people in one room. So one of the challenges, and I look at it as an opportunity, is to look for a bigger place. And then the other challenge is, so when we started the second module, I had decided to charge 2,000 shillings for facilitation and registration. However, most of the people who really will benefit from the program, I'm not able to afford that. So the current class, actually, half of them, we've taken them for free. Yeah, because they really want to benefit from there, but they cannot afford, which is understandable. So I'm trying to balance the two. Although my priority, and I need to make it very clear, is not after money. I'm not after money. I'm after helping the young people. So, and that's why I won't mind going an extra step of digging into my pocket. But in the long run, I'm trying to figure out probably getting sponsors, and which I've started, because some of the students who are in class right now actually been funded and sponsored by some of my friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
stuff.
So we will go around that.
Awesome stuff.
Yes.
Now let's talk about also some of the challenges that you've seen young people out there facing. People coming out of campus, they don't know. What are some of the main challenges that you've seen young people facing? I'm
going to talk about challenges in a slightly different way.
Because
I know people will come and say unemployment and drugs and all that. I'm not going to talk about that. It's going to be a bit different. What I see as the first challenge the youth have, for me, is lack of mentorship. Yeah. Because it's lack of mentorship and mentorship basically is guidance, it's advice, it's imparting knowledge and skills to someone, it's guiding them and counseling them. Because lack of that now ends up to drugs abuse and sexual relationship and all that kind of thing. So if we can get these people to be mentored, it will become very important. Because especially when it comes to career guidance, I've met young people who've gone through university for 5 years, they graduate, they hold their degree and tell you, I'm not very sure if this is really what I want to do. You see, that there it is a problem. So it also goes back to the educational system and how we look at life.
And talking about just careers, how can someone out there, even prior to joining campus, what decisions should they make when they are trying to choose the career that they are going for?
For me, and I'm very passionate about this because it's connected to your purpose in life. And I will advise parents not to impose careers for their kids.
True, it happens a lot.
Yes. The first thing you need to know is, you need to and that's why understanding your purpose on earth and who you are, your identity as an individual, is very, very crucial, because it affects your marriage, it affects your career and everything. Because if we are wired differently. Like for me, I'm not wired to be a mathematician. I'm very bad in mathematics. So as a result, I chose courses that I'm strong with. I'm good in writing, I'm good in communication, I'm good in teaching. So, and my career has always been that. I have over 9 years of professional experience in communication. So, and I'm very good at it, because that's what I'm passionate about it. So I will tell parents and even the guys who are kind of confused, not very sure which career to choose, follow your heart, because your heart tells you who you are and what you are. True. And how you're wired. But we don't choose careers because of the glamour, because of the job market.
It sounds attractive.
Yes. First of all, just choose careers with your purpose, because your purpose, your passion, what is it, your heart? You start from there.
Wow.
And then we were talking about the challenges of the youth.
Yes.
So the first thing I mentioned was lack of mentorship. The other thing I'll say, it's lack of personal identity and purpose. We don't know who we are. And that's why the youth are very confused. We walk around with our trousers almost touching our knees. We think that is the it thing. So we try to look for other things for identity. And that's why I see a lot of happening nowadays in societies. The youth really bothering their parents and doing crazy things to have an iPhone, to have a nice phone.
Because that's what society identifies as.
Because we look at that as
identity.
Wow. We want it to identify ourselves with the things we own, because that's how society in the larger area defines life and identity. And then a lot of youths going into a lot of sexual promiscuity because of identity. So you're very desperate for a man. You do a lot of stuff. And then the other challenge I find with the youth is I said lack of identity and purpose. The other thing I'll say is there's just a problem with the youth when it comes to lifestyle. I'd mentioned slightly about this, but I'll coin it the other way. The lifestyle trap, what I call image trap. I've just mentioned about phones and all that. So we want to be identified. There's someone who said, don't compare yourself. Don't come out of campus or school and compare yourself with someone who's been working for 30 years.
Imagine.
Or someone who already has a house. You want to own a house in 3 days.
You don't even know the steps they took to get there.
It doesn't, life doesn't work that way. And the more the earlier you understand that, the better it becomes for you. Because the youth are in a hurry to own things, to be like their elder brothers and sisters, to be rich, but it's a process. It takes time. So most of them, and that's some of the challenges. And of course now they know the kawaida ones of unemployment. But you know, when it comes to unemployment, I have a slightly different perspective on that. Because for me, the problem is also with the education system. I still going back to that, because we've been trained to study and look for a job.
For a job, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it's not supposed to be like that, like almost guaranteed you have to study and look for a job. Why don't we train young people to be employers?
To be creators of...
To be creators, to be job creators, to be entrepreneurs.
True.
Why don't we do that? What stops us from doing that?
Amazing
And you know,
stuff.
it goes back to potential. People have potential.
And so perhaps fear again counts,
Yeah.
plays a part when people are afraid to go out there and venture and start their own businesses.
Yes.
Amazing stuff. We're going to talk about that and more in a few minutes, of course. You're watching The Generation Y. We'll be right back. Welcome back to The Generation Y. You're with me, Scott Sunjeta. It's all about empowerment, it's all about mentorship and ensuring that young people get equipped with the right skills to get into the job market. And Mr. Douglas Waudo, before you had gone on break, we had just mentioned unemployment as one of the greatest issues that's affecting young people coming out of campus. What are some of those things that young people can do to prepare themselves for the job market?
I always have a good answer for that.
Yeah.
For those who are looking for a job, or for even those who are working but they want to upgrade their salaries and lifestyle, the first thing you do is look for a problem. Stop looking for jobs. Look for a problem. Once you get a problem, look for a solution. Don't go around looking for jobs and money. That's the mistake people do. When you get a problem and get solutions, money will start looking for you.
Follow you.
Money will, it always follows, it's guaranteed. And I'll give you an example. Let's talk of Kenchik and McDonald's and KFC. Before that, people used to go to restaurants, sit for 2 hours, order for food. And which was a problem, because now we were in a modern lifestyle where you want things to be fast.
Yeah.
So someone sat down and said, you know, there's a problem here. Why don't we start fast food? They started fast food, and it's one of the biggest companies in the world, biggest global brands. You look at Coca-Cola, look at these big brands, look at M-Pesa. They solve the issue of fast money transfer. Where you don't have to wait up to 9 in the morning to go and queue in a bank to get your money, or you have to send telegrams and what to your mother in the village. They solved a problem.
Yeah.
M-Pesa now in a day, I think they transfer billions of shillings every day. And just look around, people have become successful. There's a problem attached to their success. So what I tell young people, go back to your estate, go back to your village, look at your community. What are problems there for you to solve? I'll give you an example very quick. I go to House of Grace, my church. There's this guy who is a professional coach who used to come to church. He's very passionate about coaching. So he realized the young guys in church, they just come to church and disappear. Some of them don't come to church. So he went across the road to Madaraka Primary School, talked to the principal. He was given the field for free as long as they keep it clean. And he came to church. He recruited young guys to come and train them for free. So when he started training young guys there, you know, unemployed people from Kibera, the youth from Eastlands, from Kawangware, people started streaming to. You know, they were like, kuna ball huko, kuna coach huko every Sato. They used to come. And then he slowly started integrating them into church. Wow. And some of them got saved. They are serving the Lord in the church. Wow. Some of them have found purpose in life. You know, people will never have come to church. No, and then, of course, the church now has come in and helped him. And there are other sponsors who are working with him. Wow. And it's becoming a big thing now.
So it starts with a problem.
It starts with a problem. It always starts with a problem. Never look for money, I tell people. Never look for money, look for problems. And then the beauty with Africa, and particularly in Kenya, is we have a lot of problems.
So there are a lot of opportunities.
There are a lot of opportunities. So you just look for problems, try to solve the problem, money follows you. Yes.
Let's talk about entrepreneurship and how it's turning out to be a solution to unemployment. Do you think it's going to be now the momentum that it has caught, especially in Kenya? Is it going to continue? Are more young people going to venture into entrepreneurship and stuff?
I honestly believe so. I know most people, young people, have taken up the drive and they're really chasing it. And I'm not usually that guy who talks about government policies and enabling environment and all that. For me, I go back to, personal potential, because by the end of the day, God has given you potential. Whether Uhuru is the president or not, or whether someone else is at, in state house or, it's basically you.
You yourself.
Yeah. So for me, my challenge to young people and my encouragement for them is to realize that there is greatness in them. And they're not here by chance or by accident. There's a purpose why everyone is here on earth. You don't want to live a life and then you die without knowing why you lived, And there's a saying that says the wealthiest place on earth is the cemetery. Because that is where dreams went unfulfilled. That's where talents were never used, gifts were never utilized, potentials were never maximized. Because people died, people had ideas, but they kept on postponing. I was telling the class this past Saturday, that idea you have, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's about writing a book, if it's about starting a program, it's anything you have, whether you're in campus or not, start doing it now. Start small, dream big. Yeah, that's what I always tell them. Don't postpone, don't say until I have money. This program I'm running right now, I had an idea 4 years ago. I kept on saying until I get a bigger job, until I do what, until I do what. 4 years. Can you imagine if it started 4 years ago?
It would be a big thing.
Yeah, probably I'll be owning my own private jet right now. Yeah, so start now. Don't assume you have tomorrow. We go back to time. Let me quote the book of Job, chapter 14, verses 5 to 6. I will paraphrase. It says, a man's days on earth are determined. You have set limits to his days that he will never exceed. That's the Bible. So it tells you we are here for a season and for a reason. Our time is determined. And God is very organized and he's a guy who respects time. You read the Bible, it says in the beginning there was the word, the world, and then when he started creation, he was very organized.
Very specific.
And so us guys are here on earth. We have been put here on earth on a limited time. And there's a reason why we are here. And immediately your time is up, you're gone. Whether you like it or not, you're out. So you have to realize, and don't assume you have tomorrow. That's the problem, the trap with young people. You think, I'm 20, I'm 25, I have time, maybe I'll die at 80 or 90.
That 30-year-old or that 40-year-old.
Don't assume you have tomorrow. Never assume that. This goes to everyone. Start, and once you get this, it gives you that drive, that passion to utilize the opportunities you have now. So I tell young people, whatever you are planning, any passion, any dream you have in you, start right now. Yeah, we'll talk later about my books.
Amazing
and then
stuff.
It will be.
In fact, I was just about to ask you about the books that you're writing, because it kind of encompasses all that you're talking about right now. What books have you written, and what books are you writing in the future? The books that are available right now.
My first book is called Far From Home: Confessions of a Foreign Student. I wrote it when I was in third year in India. I did my undergraduate in journalism and mass communication in southern India. And we used to have, those guys have a lot of holidays because of their, they have, these gods, and every god has a holiday. So you have a lot of holidays. So there's a time we had cleared my second semester, my second year, and we had almost half a year to just on holiday. And I used to just hang around. So the idea of why don't I utilize this time came up, and I started writing my first novel. And it's very funny. I wrote my first sentence on a piece of paper, and I looked at it for almost 8 days.
Wow.
I was like, can I do this? And then I started.
You had not decided to just continue.
Decided. I wasn't very sure because I didn't even know the novel will be about what. But then I thought, why don't I write about the life of foreign students, the way people live and struggle with prostitution, alcohol, drug abuse, all these things as foreign students.
So it's not only an African problem; it's also a global.
It's
problem.
a global problem.
Wow.
It's really a global problem. And it just goes back to what we've been talking about, purpose and,
The individual.
knowing your identity and all that. So I wrote my second novel, my first novel, and it's one of the best sellers in India, but not in Kenya
what's
so
it
far.
titled?
Yeah, Far From Home,
Far From
Confessions of a Foreign Student. So when I came back to Kenya, I started working, and long story short, 2 years ago, I started writing my second novel, which I finished last year in November. It's entitled The Devil's Favorite Student. The Devil's Favorite Demons. Yeah, The Devil's Favorite Demon.
What's the message behind it?
The book it looks at the life of Kenyans in a very satirical way. So I talk a lot about my village, and then I talk about the city. This guy who grew up in the village came to the city, he's working, and then he adopts this lifestyle in the city that he was not born into, and then occasionally, the way Kenyans do, we have to go to the village for Christmas. And then, he has his other funny, and then the other characters, he has uncles in the village, the ones in town. So it's just about that. Yeah, it was more of, I was just exploring my creativity, the power of imagination.
What should we expect from you in the future in terms of writing, in terms of the mentorship program? What should we expect?
I have a blog, before I talk about my third novel. I have a blog which I run, and I post almost 3 or 4 posts every week. And I have a very huge following. So that's where I usually post my short stories and a lot of stuff about me and the program. And then I'm working on my third novel. It's called The Making of a Man. So understanding the true identity of a real man. So basically it's, I'm now becoming a man. Or I should say I'm a man because I'm planning to get married very soon by God's grace, maybe early next year. And I've started feeling the responsibility of what expectations of being a man is. And I look around my peers and the people who are elder than me, and I'm disappointed by the man I see in them.
There's nothing to pick up from them.
Yeah, because for us, once Friday reaches, I'm married, I have kids, I'll go to a bar. I'll drink up to midnight. I will stagger home. When kids are waking up on Sunday watching cartoon, me, I'm nursing hangovers in bed. I wake up at midday,
They go to church,
I shower, I go back to the bar to watch football, English Premier League. I drink up to midnight again. I come home. When my wife and kids are going to church, me, I'm sleeping. Then in the afternoon again, I'll disappear and go and watch Man U and Arsenal. And then I come back again late, I'm high. Monday, the whole week, I've been at work, in the bar, in traffic.
And that's the kind of a life that young people are getting into, are graduating into.
Yeah. Now the problem is there's this young generation that doesn't grow knowing their parents.
That's all they know. That's all they see.
Yeah. And most of us, we think once I pay rent and I do shopping and I pay school fees, me, of course, I love my family. Me, I've done all that. But then we don't realize parenting, I've come to realize it's more of an emotional support.
It's true.
And that's why now you see your wife, you start hearing of these extramarital affairs within marriage and all that. So that's the whole idea about the making of man. And of course, I link it very much with what God says about men and about women and about marriage and the way we need to live our life on earth. So it's very also biblical founded, the way the program is. And I hope it will be of help to many people.
Awesome stuff.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Douglas, for coming through.
Thank
It
you.
was such an amazing talk, and of course, we should have you back to talk about more issues that are affecting young people.
Sure.
Awesome
Thank
stuff.
you.
Well, there you have it. That's all the time we could have for here on the Generation Y. Remember to always tune in, and our Facebook page at the Generation Y, Twitter handle at the Generation Y. The hashtag is next time on the Generation Y.